Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down India's brand new rulebook for evidence, the law that literally decides how truth gets established in a court of law. It seems like a simple question, right? But it's at the very heart of the entire legal system. And believe me, a new law in India has just completely changed the answer. And here it is. This is the Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam, or BSA for short. Its goal is pretty straightforward. Create a clear, modern framework for evidence to make sure every trial is a fair one. So here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll look at the new law itself, then the core ideas of facts and proof, the super important rule of relevancy, how evidence is going digital, and finally, we'll unpack admissions and confessions. Okay, let's start at the beginning. What exactly is this law, and who does it apply to?
Well, to put it simply, if you find yourself in pretty much any court in India, we're talking everything from a local court all the way to a court-martial, these are the new rules of the game. Now, there are a couple of major exceptions, affidavits and arbitration proceedings. They have their own set of rules.
All right, to really get how a legal case is put together, you have to understand its three most basic building blocks: facts, evidence, and proof. So first up, we've got a fact. Now, this isn't just something you can see, hear, or touch. The law is really clear that a fact can also be a mental condition. Think about things like someone's intention, their opinion, or even if they were acting in good faith. That's a fact too.
Next up is evidence. This is basically how you get those facts in front of a judge. It's broken down into two main types. You've got oral evidence, that's what witnesses say on the stand. And you have documentary evidence, which is everything from a paper contract to, as you'll see in a bit, a text message.
And finally, how does a fact get proved? Well, it happens when a judge, after looking at all the evidence, is convinced that it's more likely than not to be true. The benchmark here is what a prudent person would believe. So it's not about 100% absolute certainty, but a really high probability. This brings us to a really crucial idea that acts as the ultimate gatekeeper for all evidence. See, you can't just throw any old fact into court. It has to be relevant.
The law lays down a golden rule. You can only bring in evidence about the core facts of the case, what the lawyers call facts in issue, or other facts that the law says are directly connected to them. Anything else, it's out. The law actually gives us some great examples to make this crystal clear. So get this. A man, let's call him B, goes to a fair. He's got cash, and he's not exactly hiding it. Later on, he gets robbed. So are the facts that he had money and was flashing it around relevant? You bet they are. They help paint the picture, right? They establish a potential motive and an opportunity for the crime to happen. Okay, this is where the new law takes one of its biggest, most important leaps forward. It's finally, formally catching up to the world we actually live in. Think about it. The traditional idea of a document was something physical, something you could hold. We're talking about writing on paper, a printed map, or, as the old law literally mentioned, an inscription on a metal plate or a stone. But the BSA just blows that old definition out of the water. It specifically says that document now includes all kinds of electronic records: emails, server logs, messages on your phone, websites, even your location data. All of it is now officially considered a document. This is an absolute game changer for how cases are investigated and argued in court. All right, for our final section, let's get into one of the most critical and honestly, often the most dramatic areas of evidence: what a person says that goes against their own interest. First, you've got something called an admission. This is any statement, spoken, written, or electronic, that just kind of hints at a relevant fact in the case. It's not a full-blown confession, just something that lets you infer something important. A confession, though, is the next level. It's a direct statement admitting you're guilty of a crime. And when it comes to confessions, the law has this incredibly powerful and stark rule. A confession made directly to a police officer cannot be used to prove guilt. This is a huge protection, and it's designed to prevent people from being forced into confessing. The law also gets really specific about what makes a confession totally invalid. So look on the left. If it was caused by any kind of inducement, threat, or coercion, it's thrown out, period. But, and this is really interesting, look at the right side. A confession isn't automatically invalid just because it was obtained through a trick or under a promise of secrecy, or even if the person was drunk. The real question the court asks is, was it forced?
So when you pull back and look at the whole picture, the big takeaway is that the BSA is a massive overhaul. It's trying to strike this really careful balance between timeless principles of justice, like protecting against forced confessions, and the undeniable reality of our digital world. This new law is a huge step, no doubt about it, but it also kind of pushes us to look ahead. By fully embracing electronic evidence, it also forces us to face a whole new world of truth and, well, deception. As technology like AI and deepfakes continues to blur that line between what's real and what's fake, the rules of evidence are about to face their next great challenge.